All right, we're live. Welcome back to the Backcountry PA podcast. This is a little bit different here. Ethan's not in studio for this one.
Yep.
I have a guest host. For this
I'll take
episode.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Guest host. Okay.
Yeah. So Ryan, we had him on because he got a buck opening day, very first day.
It's a blessing and a curse. And now what is the question, right?
Right.
Well, we waited 12 months for this day.
Mm-hmm.
It's been on the calendar. And also it's a double curse for me because so I don't know if everybody knows like how we hunt in Pennsylvania, but 3 counties open up 2 weeks early. So there's a county in Chester County, right?
Like Pittsburgh too, I think.
Pittsburgh, right? Yeah. There's one out
B?
in Western PA, and then it's like the Philly area, like Chester County, I think, and then 5C, so like Reading area, Moton for us, Berks County for that's what's closest to us. So that's 2 weeks early. So I was in the woods 2 weeks before statewide for 1 hour, and
so my biggest question for that is like, did it fill the itch? You know what I mean? Like, did it
for sure filled the itch. I mean, even I don't regret it at all. I would do it 100 times over. That buck I've had on camera, I call him Cheese Curl. I'm like, if he comes in, I'm taking him. That's it. I know I'm going to be happy with him. Like, I'm not going to not do it because it's the first day. I hate that. My saying is a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bushel.
Yes.
But that's my saying, and I'm serious about it. Obviously, I shot one the very first day, but it does kind of feel weird. Like, I didn't get like not depression, but like sadness until I was finished processing that deer, and like I'm cleaning up after it, right? Bagging up all the meat, and I'm like, and then that night I got another decent deer on camera, a decent buck on camera on that same camera, and I'm like, I'm not even excited. Like it sent it to me, and I'm like, cool for next year, I guess. Like now I still have a ton of doe tag. I have 4 doe tags, in 4 different counties. So that's gonna be fun, I guess, when I'm back out there, and like that'll give me like I just want to interact with the animals. I want to see the deer walking through. I do feel like I missed a little bit of that this year, and also like maybe if I could have it perfectly, I would have shot that deer at 10 or 11 opening day. But it was
more time.
Sun came up at like I thought it was gonna be like 6:15 shooting light. At like 6:40, I could see pins, and at 7:40, I had shot that deer.
Yeah.
So and I'd seen, so I got in like super quiet, went like overkill. First day jitters, like I'm like I gotta get out there real early. Leave my house at like 3:30, at the property at like 4:15.
Yeah.
Up in my tree stand at like 4:45, and the sun doesn't come up till 6:45. I'm like, okay, nice and quiet. I'm like, and so I get up there and sun's just coming up, and I always just check my pins. Like, oh, I got light in the pin. I'm just holding it up. I'm like, I got light in the pin. It's go time. And literally, I always keep my bow in my hand. I never hang my bow up.
Oh.
A lot of guys, Jimmy will hang his bow up. A lot of guys hang their bow up.
Yeah, almost everyone I know hangs their bow up. That's very interesting.
I'll hunt all day. That bow stays in my hand.
The arrow in there too? Like
it's knocked out.
Like you laying it down on your lap?
Across my lap, yep. Okay. And it's knocked, and the arrow is right over my knees, and it's sitting there the entire time. My hand is on that handle the entire time. I'll wrap my rangefinder around my neck, and I'll like use my left hand to be ranging, but that bow is always in my hand. And it's just because sometimes they sneak up on you. A couple years ago, I had one literally run in. I was on a hillside, and he came running down the mountain. I literally just picked my bow and stopped him. He froze, and I shot him right there. So if I would have had that bow hung up, I wouldn't have been able to reach for the bow, grab the bow, and knock an arrow in time. It wouldn't have happened. So ever since then, I will sit there all day with that bow in my hand.
Wow. Not once it'll be hung up.
Not once, no. I do bring a bow hanger up there, but I'll take my backpack, and I take my quiver off my bow. I don't like shooting with a quiver on. I don't know. I don't know if I don't have the right quiver set up, that I'm just not comfortable with it. And it's like in my eyesight, like my line of sight when I'm full draw, and I don't like it. It screws with me. So I'll hang that up. I'll pull one arrow out. I'll hang my bag up. I'll hang my quiver up, and that arrow goes in the bow. I knock it, and it sits on my lap, and that's it. If I have to grab another arrow, it's something bad happened.
That's actually like I've heard that a lot. So do you practice? Do you practice without the quiver on?
Yeah, almost always. Like I will, like in my mind, I'll do a backcountry hunt someday, or like do a ton of hiking, like elk somewhere, and I'll be on the ground, and I will need that on there. So I will shoot a couple times a year with it on there. I do like the weight. Like I shoot a heavy bow. Like my bow itself is heavy. I got a camera mounted to it. I got a stabilizer. I like a heavier bow in my hand. So I do like the weight of it when I'm shooting target, but it's just something that it's in my line of sight and it just bugs me. I could probably get like a slimmer, like I don't have my bow's a Hoyt, but I don't have the actual Hoyt brand quiver that fits in real nice. So my quiver's probably a little bigger than it should be. I could drop to like a 3-arrow quiver. Like a lot of guys do that. So there's some stuff I could do to get away with it, but yeah, I keep that bow in my hand. So like the sun just comes up and I hear like a and there's squirrels out there. It's opening day. Everything sounds like a deer.
Yeah, everything.
You hear a goose come over, you're like, is that a deer? You know what I mean? Everything sounds, I'm like,
Let me tell you, the one time I was actually practicing where I had the big buck on camera. You guys have seen where that is now.
Yep.
But, well, for everyone who listens, this is releasing, obviously, the day
we got
before.
a kerfuddle here, don't we? Yeah.
This is releasing the day before statewide opening day.
Yes.
But Jimmy and Ryan from Drawback Outdoors are going to be on the 3rd or 2nd week
somewhere in October. Yeah. So this will be you'll hear us talk about this buck that I took last weekend before you hear us talk about me potentially taking this buck.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, you'll have to fill in the loop. I kerfuddled it. I shouldn't. You know, what I mean, we got done too early, but that is what it is. So you were practicing where you saw that buck?
Yeah, I was in a tree practicing, like first time ever really. I just wanted to practice with my whole saddle setup. Get up in there, test it out. And dude, this helicopter flies over, like literally tree height level. And I'm like I hear it from far off, and I'm like, okay, just a random helicopter, right? And all of a sudden, like, comes literally
close.
I'm in the big woods right now, and what are the chances of like a helicopter flying directly over my
hovering
tree?
over top of you?
It literally comes right over my tree, and I'm like, holy fuck, like that would definitely scare me if I was a deer.
Yeah. Well, it is crazy because like you think that, and a lot of times they could care less. Like, like you'll hear a flock of geese go by and they're loud. The deer never look up. You know what I mean? They're just totally, or like I always like every time I see a deer, but then there's like a squirrel by my stand and it's screwing around in the leaves. I'm like, shut up. But the deer doesn't even look. You know what I mean? They're so used to like so much so that when I walk in, sometimes I like take a couple steps, stop. Kick my feet, take a couple steps. Like, do I sound like a squirrel? You know what I mean? I'm a big squirrel, but I try to get away with it. But when the sun came up and I heard something, I'm like, there's a lot of doe on this property. I'm like, it's probably a doe. I'm not getting too excited. But I swear to God, you can hear the difference between a doe walking and a buck.
The weight?
Like, and like the bucks always seem like they're on a mission to get somewhere. Like they're going from place to place, browsing. Then they'll browse in a space for 15 minutes. And then when they decide to move, it's normally like on a mission. Like, okay, I'm moving. I'm going to go hit the scrape. I'm going to go bed. I'm going to go eat. But I'm going to get there. And so it was like a steady
like when especially when they hit that like open spot, like then you'll hear them move. But like if a doe walks through an opening, she probably still takes her time.
You might never hear the doe. Like I see all the time. I'm like, oh, look up. I'm like, oh shit, there's 3 doe right there. Like they're brown, they're blending in. You don't hear them, so you look up and they're there. And like, there's not even that many leaves. But I heard this guy. He was coming through and he's and I'm like, it's probably a doe. But then it was getting closer, and I'm like, it doesn't sound like a doe. Like it might be a buck. So I start turning cameras, and I'm on the side of a mountain, a pretty steep cliff, and I'm hunting in a primal Mac Daddy primal stand, so a ladder stand, but it's 22 feet. Like they're solid ladder stands.
Those things are hefty.
Dude, they're so heavy and they're expensive, dude. They're almost $300 for a ladder stand, which seems great, but they do have like that claw mechanism around the tree, so they're easier to hang.
Especially if you don't like tree stands.
If you better be on public, for me, I still make Jimmy strap it first, but you better be, that stand better sit for a while.
Make Jimmy your bitch.
Yeah, like Hey, you, get up. Let's go strap it up. Come on, big boy. I'll be down here. He's climbing. I'm like, you good? You good? I just keep saying to him, I got you, buddy. If he falls, I'm stepping back. I can't stop that.
Yeah, no, you can't stop that.
But so I'm high up, right? 22 feet for a ladder stand's pretty good. And this deer walks by me eye level. Like, because the slope's going to the left. Okay. So I look over to the left, like, I'm sitting against the back of the tree, and I'm a lefty. So I have all the shots in front of me and all the shots down to the right of me. I've hunted there for a couple years on and off, but I've never seen a deer on that steep slope. So I just figured, like, I'll set my stand up so I don't have that shot. I'd have to stand up and face the tree to do it. And I didn't get up because I didn't know where the deer was going to pop out. So I didn't stand up. So I'm hearing him, he's going to cross to my left, and I don't have time to stand up and turn around. And so I'm just sitting with my back as far up to the tree as I can, like I always feel like if I make eye contact, they can see me. If I don't, they can't see me. So I'm like slowly out of the corner of my eye looking. He's probably like almost eye level with me up on this ridge and like 5 yards behind me. And I like slowly make eye contact with him, like out of the corner of my eye. And I turn my head the slightest bit. I'm like, oh, it's a decent buck. Like, I think just a touch bigger than the buck I actually shot. And this buck was never on camera. And which makes sense. I wasn't running cameras up on the side of the freaking mountain. So
was this side of the mountain was like rocky-ish?
Super rocky, all rocks,
okay.
all rocks and mountain laurel. Like, so it was thick up there.
Yeah.
And you could only see in like certain little holes, but I couldn't believe he was up there. I mean, it's rocky. The whole property's pretty rocky, but he was like, I can't believe they walked through it so calmly, like not stumbling. So I'm like, saw him, but he immediately pegged me. My wind was perfect, blowing right away from him, but he pegged me, and his, head bobbing me, and I'm like, come on, I need you to take like 10 more steps. And then even as a lefty, I can turn my body and get a shot because he'll be passing me and I can sneak it right in there. And I'm like, come on, buddy, keep moving. And he stops and then walks behind me. So now he's literally behind my tree. Like, I mean, I could have dropped an arrow off behind the tree and dropped it on him. He's right under me, behind me. And if he keeps coming, I can get a shot of him as a lefty too. I can get behind and shoot him. And he ends up going back. Like, jumps a little bit, takes a couple trots, and then slowly feeds back down, like to where these main fields are. I'm like, I'm literally texting Jimmy, that's it. I'm done for the year. Like, I got busted first deer. Like, this is bullshit. I'm texting him like pissed. And then I was taking a video. I was trying to show him, like, he's like, how didn't you get it? Like, because I have a lot of shots up there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, so I'm taking a video showing, like, with my finger. He was here. And then I'm like, but I'm not talking, obviously. I'm like, and as I'm moving the camera, I'm like, oh shit, deer. So I put my phone away. The video was still up. I'm like, quick, put my phone away. There's 3 bucks down below me.
Yeah.
And a 6-pointer who we got some footage of, and a 5-pointer, and then the 7-pointer ended up shooting. But I couldn't tell. I saw Cheese Curl, and they were locked up. They were already pushing each other around. 2 of them made scrapes. 2 of them were doing rubs, and they were pushing each other around. Not aggressive, like thrashing each other. They're starting to push each other around a little bit.
Just tickling the tines a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like, no shit already? Like, it's so early. I'm thinking, like, this is awesome. And at the time, I didn't know they were bucks. They were so far away. But when they started doing that, I'm like, oh, we got bucks here. So I click in, get cameras rolling. I'm trying to get cameras set up. While I'm screwing around with cameras, Cheese Curl, the buck I ended up shooting, somehow like works his way up and is like maybe 30 yards in front of me. But there's a small opening I had to take him, and he's just about to hit it. But I don't want to shoot him because I want to make sure that there's not a giant down there. Yeah, and I can't get my eyes on. So now he's out there, but he's no idea I'm there. He's eating acorns. Like, I'm in acorn heaven.
Was it white oaks?
Yep, white oaks. And they're literally, when you're sitting there, you can just hear them falling down. Like,
it's so funny because, like, and I don't mean to keep taking off topic, but like, people are saying white oaks aren't good this year, and like red oaks, but like, it's so.
I don't see how though, right? We didn't have a bad winter last year.
Not at all.
Like, I don't get. I heard that too, and I'm like, not where I am. Like, where I am, and I mean, maybe because there are so many trees around me that are dropping that it's always plentiful, and that's why like this spot is typically really good early season. Once those acorns get eaten up, it does kind of die off. It's pretty barren in there. Yeah. So that's why, like, I always have better early season than late season on this property. But yeah, I mean, they were crushing them. They're everywhere in there. I mean, like, you're just listening to them fall out of the tree.
Jeez.
So he's eating them. I can hear him chewing on them, like crunching them. And I'm looking down, and like, now I got my rangefinder up. I'm like, I gotta see these bucks before I shoot him. And I check one, and I'm like, okay, he's a 5. He's out. Like, I know that buck. And then I check the other one. I'm like, that's 6.
I don't know. 5, I would take him.
Yeah. Well, it's 3. He's legal. 3 up. So I'm like, all right, that one. And they're still out of range, but they're going to take his path. I knew it. And so like, I checked the other one. I'm like, he's a 6. He's definitely smaller than Cheese Curl. I'm taking him. And he immediately just clicked in. I didn't even range him because I knew exactly. I'd like pre-range everything. And he was by a real fat tree. I'm like, that tree is 35. He's got to be 32. Pull back, thud, shoot him. And after that, like, that's why I love archery too. The deer, those 2 deer, like, they spooked a little bit, and then they ended up still walking right through. Like, they had no idea what went. I mean, you hear,
especially younger ones.
Yeah, right. Yep. And you hear the crack. Like, they knew something happened, but that buck ran, and that could have been a branch falling. They don't know. They were a little suspicious, and then they ended up. Wind was good. They walked right past me, so I sat it out, waited for him, and I knew I hit him. Like the shot looked so good and felt perfect. It was 32 yards. It felt great. I'm like, that deer's. I thought I heard him crash, but I wasn't sure. It's real thick back there, and so I was the only thing that sketched me out though. And this is like in my head, I'm a pessimistic person when it comes to like, is he down? Like I never want to jinx it or say he's down. Like I'm like, I think I call my wife. I call Jimmy. I'm like, I think I heard him down. I don't know. Did I? Like. I think the shot was really good, but was it? But my arrow had stuck in the dirt like 3 inches. So passed through and like stuck in the dirt. I'm like, there's no way I possibly shot under that deer, right? Like, why is it on that angle and so far in the dirt? Yeah. So I get down, grab the arrow, and it's so bloody, it just passed right through. And immediately, like, I always say, I'll be first to admit, I'm not a great tracker when it comes to blood. Like, I'm too impatient. I'm pushing ahead. Jimmy's always like, "Hey, come back. Here's our last blood. Don't move until we see it." I'm like, no. I can see his, like, where it's disturbed. I'm going to go try to find blood up. And it was even easy for me to follow the blood. Like, it was a carpet.
I was going to say, in the video, you could tell where it was.
I mean, there were trees that it was 5 feet up the tree. Like, it was just spraying. And so I got on it, gave him some time, got on the blood trail. I'm like, this deer's down. So I followed him, and I figure, which is amazing because, like, double lunged him. There wasn't much left of the lungs. Like, it was pretty ripped up, and he made it maybe like 120, 110 yards. So he still made it a good try. Like, he never stopped. He died on his feet. I heard him. Now that I found him, I heard him go down there. But within 5 seconds, he was down. But he made it over 100 yards. Jumped over a stone wall. Like, I couldn't believe he went. So then, as you're tracking, you're like, okay, I'm seeing blood everywhere. Like, how is this thing still alive?
Like, there's no way he
where is
made it.
Where is he? Like, I'm like, where is this going? So I find him, and that starts the process of getting it gutted, doing the field dressing, get all that done. Now you're dragging it out by yourself, so that sucks. It's hot. It's early, so it's like 76 degrees. Yeah, it was 70. The flies are everywhere, and I'm like fighting them off, get it home. Jimmy's up in Maryland, so I'm by myself, take care of everything. And then as soon as I finished, I'm like, so what do we do? Like, where does the season go? I mean, I do sales obviously for work, so I work real hard all front half of the year. And we don't do quarterly goals. We don't do any of that. It's a yearly budget. Okay. Here's your yearly budget. Sell $10 million. When you're done with that, awesome. You're good for the year. Yeah. So if you sell it in January, they don't care. You could care less what you do. Like, that's your goal. Hit your goal. So I'm pushing all year, like taking away at that, like, hey, if I can get it close by deer season, like, it's okay to sneak out of the office at 3 and get up into a tree stand at 3:45 because my responsibilities are met. You know what I mean? I'm good to go. And this year I was had a great year. I'm pushing. So I have some time that I could like sneak out and get some serious hunting time in. So now, like, my plan was all last week, every weekday I was gonna go leave the office at 3, go up and hunt. Yeah. Well, now I'm just like working the full day. I'm like, well, this kind of sucks. Like, now you have doe tags, cool. Yep. We're gonna do share the harvest video. I'm passionate about that program. I think it's awesome. Even though today I had some issues with the bushes, but I like what they're doing there. I think it's amazing. The program's awesome. I love everything about it. So we want to do like a good promotional video for that. But other than that, like, I'll be filming Jimmy, like, so that's fun. I just want to be in the woods. So that solves some itch. But there's a special feeling of like, not like sadness when you're going out there and you don't have that excitement. Like, we're going upstate to hunt. And so, like, I'm not going to lose sleep the night before. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be like tossing and turning, like looking at trail cameras, like, would I take him? No. Would I take him? Yes. Oh, he's on the list. Like, it's going to be cool. And like, when your buddy gets a deer, it's like almost the same, right? It's super exciting, but still, it's not you, and you don't have the nervousness, and like, I'm not like, don't have no will to go shoot my bow right now. I'm like, for what?
Open day rifle, like you're excited just because it's open day rifle, but yet all you have is a doe tag. Like,
you're like,
I think the thing is, like, we love hunting. Like, I don't think we like to admit it, but I think a lot of us just like to have like this trophy on the wall. Right. Like, you have that, like, most of us who hunt mostly played sports, some kind of sport at least, and they want that trophy to feel successful. Yeah. And like, by getting that trophy on the wall, you feel successful after that season. Like, sure, you can fill your freezer with meat, but it's with doe meat anyway. Right. You still feel good about it, but yet you're always chasing that golden ticket of like,
that's the thing too. It's like, you're exactly right. And like, you get those antlers up on the wall. It's no one saves a doe skull, right? So it's like the memory's way more there. Like, you take a bunch of pictures of the deer, it definitely means a little bit more. Like, and I hate that too. But I mean, no matter how you look at it, if you're honest with yourself, of course it means more.
It does.
I think part of me is nervous to keep hunting real hard the rest of the year. Like I'm every time I can go up with Jimmy's hunting, I'm gonna be filming. Like our goal is to make cool content. Plus, I just like being in the woods. Like, and when you're with, like Jimmy's been with me a couple times when I've killed a buck. It's like the coolest thing when you're with your, like you turn around and like high five and it's like just like cloud nine. So I want to be there and like that's cool. It'll be exciting for me too. But my anxiety is that I can't keep thinking of is, what if I'm hunting for a doe and a 160-inch 11-pointer walks by me at 10 yards? You know what I mean? And stops and looks up and just keeps going. And I'm like, and part of me is like, no, I won't care. It's just cool to see him. Right. It's cool to interact. But that's true. Like, I'd love to film him. I'd love to like see his movements and like watch them like shake. And I'd love to see that. I'd probably be shaking even just seeing him, even though I can't shoot him.
Absolutely.
I'd still probably be pumped. But I know a part of me would be pissed. Like, you made the wrong decision. Then my whole bird in the hand, two in the bush is out the freaking window because like that's a stuff. But chances are I probably won't see that deer. But if I do, there'll be like, I don't know how I'll feel. That's never happened to me where I've tagged a deer and then have seen like, I've seen definitely more deer throughout the year and that I also probably would have taken, but I've never been tagged out and seen a giant, like a lifetime wall mounter, like real nice Pennsylvania buck. I've never had that happen to me. So I do fear like if I hunt real hard and I've got 4 doe to pick up in 4 different counties and I'm filming Jimmy and a deer walks out right in front of me and I'm just sitting there like, you know what I mean?
I think that was dating back 2 years when I passed at 7 Point.
Yeah.
First saddle hunt, bow hunt. I could have gotten a decent basket rat 7 Point. I think that was kind of my mindset.
You're right like, there, what you just
said, like, because I knew I had Illinois going on, I was like, you know what? I don't want to shoot a small one just yet this early because I have Illinois, I have up north yet.
Yeah, I know. It's like it weighs on you, and you're like, what's the decision to make? And then, you know, like with social media, it's so bad because, like, look, I don't care who you are. If you're in Pennsylvania or like let's say like southeast Pennsylvania or eastern Pennsylvania, like take Western PA out because there's some giants out there, and it was way less populated than it is here.
I would say let's take out the northern and northwest part.
Yeah, 100%. Take out the north and northwest.
Western to northwest.
Let's do like southeast Pennsylvania. Yeah. If you're in these counties like Berks, Lebanon, if you're in or around this area and you shoot 120-inch deer, it is like a guy in Iowa shooting a 150 or a 160. 100%. I wholeheartedly believe that. Like, it's just different. Our deer don't get as big. We have more hunters here per square mile than anywhere else in the country. They're very pressured deer. It's hard to get permission. We don't see a ton of them because we have so many hunters. So many of them get killed. We're like Pennsylvania, at least where we are, we're not good at letting these bucks get real big.
How many hunters do we have per square mile? I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, look that up because it is something to keep in mind when you're on Instagram and you see nonstop 150s, 160s, 150s, 160s, and then you see a guy that posts a 120 and he might be from Pennsylvania and the kid from Iowa goes, well, you should let that grow. Why would you shoot that deer? It's like, whoa, that is a good deer here. And when you are brainwashed by Instagram, it's like girls with social media. Like all you see is edited photos and you think, okay, that
Tinder
little basket.
was awful for that.
Yeah,
when I was single,
catfished.
I got catfished so
Gone are the days. Gone are the days. Like, thank the Lord, right? Oh, yeah, because it's crazy. It's like, and there's guys catfishing deer. And I mean, and also like, it's so different. Yeah, right. It's a little closer. Like, I'll sit behind his tail. I'll be holding the tail. But it just, you think about it and it's like, you can't let those guys, they're not hunting here in Pennsylvania. Like, I talk about Seek 1 all the time here, but Seek 1 came to Pennsylvania and they did a hunt here and he shot like a very mediocre buck and he was tickled pink with it. Yep. And there's comments on there like, that's crazy. You kill these huge deer in Atlanta. And he's like, whoa, we hunted hard. I hunted for 4 days in the mountains of Pennsylvania, mountain deer. We hunted hard. This is the best deer I saw the whole trip. Like, and you know, so if you compare, you see that basket 7-pointer and you're like, no, I'm going to let him go. Even though it's your first archery buck and you'll be pumped to shoot it because of everything we've seen. And we try to not think that way, but subconsciously it's still in there. Like,
which gives me mad props for the people who do pass deer up. Like, for example, like, you know, Ryan Glitzky.
Right.
Like, I have mad respect for him because, like, he's down to earth.
Yeah.
Really enjoy talking to him. But also it's because, like, he'll see deer, but yet he'll let them walk. But yet he's okay with letting them walk because at the end of the year he'll have doe tags. He'll feel
right.
Like, to get to that stage of hunting where it's like
it takes a while. So
I've been long time.
This is my 8th season hunting, and I've killed 8 bucks. So every year I've killed a buck.
I know, I remember that.
And I keep the streak alive, but I keep telling like my friends, I'm gonna have to let that die. I got to get that out of my head because to get to that point where he is, you're gonna have to go a couple years without it. It's just timing. Like the best deer hunting is the rut, right? That's not a secret. Everybody will tell you that.
Yeah.
The rut's the last 2 weeks of archery season. Yeah. So you pass a decent bucks or just okay bucks all season, thinking you're in this honey hole for the rut, and then the rut comes and goes in 3 days, and you didn't see a buck. You didn't see a shooter buck. It's like then you eat your tag that year, and you got to be okay with it. I don't think I am yet.
Yep.
But like where's Jimmy is, like he'll go. There's a property we're hunting upstate where there's 7 shooters that I would say are shooters. 7 bucks on there that I say these are shooter bucks.
Tires.
Yeah, tires. One of them. Like he won't shoot tires. Like I'm gonna try to talk him into it because I'd like to get that deer out of the gene pool. Oh, I'm gonna be like, you shoot him right now. Like you better shoot him. But I want to get him out of the gene pool, and he's still like a nice buck, and he's cool. Like I think he should be, but. There's, to me, 7 that I would have taken. To him, there's 2. You know what I mean? So it's like, and he's disciplined. He'll let that deer walk by. I respect the hell out of that, but at the same time, I'm like, and you start looking at like, where's your time worth too? Like, how many days do I have? Okay, you have kids now.
Yep.
I have a wedding for Pennsylvania statewide opener. I'll be going for a wedding, and then the 26th that weekend we have another wedding to go to in another state, and then. We're going to North Dakota the week after. It's like, how many opportunities am I going to get? Yeah. I don't know, but they're animals. You can't control it. Like you could be in the best spot ever,
absolutely, and
you might have to eat tag soup. So, are you okay with that? I'm not yet. And that's why I was telling you. If you see a decent buck in there, you have a special buck on camera this year. And don't get me wrong, it's sick. And I think that would be if you shoot that, I'm taking an ad out in the paper, a full page ad. But I think that would be awesome. But also, don't just see him and be obsessed with him. Like if you see something that you're happy with and you want to take, just take it, man. Because you know what? Like next year, who remembers the buck you shot last year? And then in 3 years, no one's really going to remember it.
Nope.
And in 5 years, definitely no one remembers the buck you shot in 2020 or 2019. Nobody cares. It's just you. So if you're happy with it, cool. Post it on Instagram or don't even post it. It's your buck. Do what you want with it. And that's it. Like with filming for YouTube, we struggle with that too. It's like, am I only going to get a lot of views if I shoot a really nice buck?
Right.
And because you do see some really nice bucks on YouTube, and there's 200-inch deer killed. That's a normal now, right? That's an Iowa thing. You're gonna kill 200. Texas, you're gonna kill 200. These states, Illinois, you're gonna see these 200-inch deer.
150 plus. Yep.
Yeah, and that's okay. But like the deer I just shot, like it's our best YouTube video yet so far. So we posted it up, and it's not a giant by any means, right? The buck's probably 100 inches. It's definitely not.
Well, not without that brow tine.
Well, Jimmy edited out a brow tine, so take care of that. If you guys are watching our YouTube video, there is a brow. The thumbnail does a disservice. And that's my fault. I was like, can you highlight the antlers like Seek One does, or like like Bomar does? He like puts a white shadow around the antlers, and it looks so cool.
Right.
I'm like, can you do that? He's like, yeah, I can do that.
Of
I'm
course.
Like, so he edits it, posts it. He's like, video's up. I'm like, nice. I go to the video. I'm like, oh, where's my brow tine, dude? Yeah. You stole a brow tine from me. He's like, oh, I must have, when I was doing the white, I must have took it off there. I'm like, yeah, dude, you must have. Like, it's gone. So you have to watch the video to see the actual antlers. But yeah, I mean, like to me, that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I'm by no means embarrassed. You know what I mean?
You shouldn't be.
And then here's results. Here's our YouTube. It's been our best deer hunting YouTube. We've put the most. It's been up for 2 days. It's already our most successful deer hunting video. And it's not our biggest buck we've shot on camera. So do people care about the buck size? Sure. Like it's a if you see a true giant, like whoa. But also people want to see relatable stuff too. Like we're going through the comments and there's guys like, nice to see someone else hunting 5C. Heck yeah, good PA buck. Like whereas like people in the Midwest will see that and be like, what? Why'd you shoot that deer?
Buck. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like that's
well, not small buck, but like
to them it is. Like that's a first rack buck. Like that's his third rack here, dude. Like what are you talking about? Like that's a decent buck for. And so like when you can show people like here it is. This is as real as it gets. This is my situation. Like, this is the deer that makes me happy. This is the deer I'm shooting. And you tell the story to it and show like, your process of it, and people feel like they know you after a couple years of doing YouTube. They're pumped for you, and it doesn't matter the size. So, I don't know. The size thing, it bugs me so bad because, like...
I think scoring bugs me the most.
It does too, to me too, because it's like, like sometimes you'll see a nice buck, but like say like that 7-pointer shot, it should be an 8, but he's missing a point, right? So he's scoring a little bit less, but he doesn't look small. Like he looks like an 8-pointer to me, just missing a tiny. Who cares? I don't give a shit. Like you know what I mean? The only time I'm gonna be worried about scores if it's like borderline getting into Boone and Crockett. That's a bucket list. I'd love to have a Boone and Crockett deer.
Just
like
once in my lifetime.
That'd be so cool, man. Just to be like, yeah, I'm a Boone and Crockett buck. Like, but other than that, like I don't like tires that we have upstate. That buck doesn't score 100 inches.
No.
I mean, he has one massive side that if he matched, he'd probably be 130, 140. And his other side's a spike. So what's he score? 80? You know what I mean? Like
80,
he maybe 80 inches. Maybe 80, maybe 70 inches. And like he's got no spread. He's horrible on the score sheet. Yeah. And like I think that's the coolest buck ever. Like I swear to God, I'd rather shoot that buck than a true typical 130. Like that's how cool that buck was to me. So and keep your scores, keep your crap. You know what I mean? Like if you see the deer and you're standing in our video, you can see like
you're shaking.
FaceTime Jimmy. I'm calling my wife. I'm like, and like, it's not as bad as it used to be. I've had some videos where I'm like, the first couple times I was like, you know what I mean? So I take a second, catch my breath, and then call. But I'm still like, you can hear my voice trembling a little bit, and like the phone shaking in my hand. It's like when that happened, I didn't even think that was the thing until I watched the video. I'm like, well, dude, it did really get me shaking. But if a deer gets you shaking like that,
absolutely,
then you got to take the deer, man, and be 1,000%. Proud of it. And maybe we'll get further in our careers, and we're like, okay, 110s don't shake me anymore. I'm looking for a 140. But until then, I don't care if it's the first day or the last day. You got to take it because. Like, that brings us to the point of now what do you do? Well, to me, I'm going to scout. I'm going to go get does. I'm going to take a couple more doe, and I'm going to observation sit. Yeah. I'm going to go, like, I think I'm going to take the saddle into public land one day. There's a spot on blankety blank that a local piece of public land that I've hunted a lot in the past years that I've always kind of wanted to, but never... It's real far back, and I never scouted it enough to like really get the lay of the land, and it's too far back to really run cameras. There's no cell service. So I think when I have one of these weekends, I'll wake up real early on a Saturday, take the climber in there and hop up in a tree and just sit for 4 or 5 hours and say, okay, what's out here? You know what I mean? Like that's the stuff you can do. And so it's like, it's not all bad being done early. Like I'm still running all my cameras. I'm going to go get another and put another camera out now. Like I'm still doing all of that. I want research for next year. I want to sit in these spots that I have picked out and I have stands, see what the deer are doing. Like I want to learn where they go. Okay, when does it turn off? Like they're in this spot on this 5C property we have. They're in here early season. What point do they stop coming through? Is it when the acorns are gone? What date is that? You know, and when do I make the shifts and just taking notes for next year and just interacting with the deer, like shooting the doe. I think that's great practice.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
Also just like learning so much out there. Every time you sit, like, okay, I bumped a deer here, or I got winded here, or the wind swirls here, or the thermals are moving this way, and in the nighttime they're coming the opposite way, and that's all stuff you can learn. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to run cameras. And I'm going to cheer on my buddies. Yeah. I want to wait for a call from you or from Jimmy or and for, hey, I shot one, get you, because I don't have an excuse anymore. And you can't text me and say, dude, I need help. I just shot one way back. I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm hunting. Well, I'm not. And if I am, it's not that important, right? Like, so my excuses are gone. So I'm going to wait for a call from a buddy. And I mean, it's like, at first I was kind of like, oh, I'm done. But now I'm like, no, I'm going to make it a fun year. Like I'm going to go interact with them. And the only thing I worry about is seeing a giant in one of those spots and be like, okay. But almost like when you start filming your hunts like this, like almost filming them sometimes is as cool as taking the deer. Right. Like knowing you could have is like I'll see doe. And like last year I ended up I had 4 doe tags last year. I donated 2 to share the harvest, and then I left 2 alone because the landowners weren't begging me to get them off there, and I didn't think the doe population was crazy that they needed to be. And so I had doe tags in my pocket and was hunting them, and they walked right under my stand, and I just filmed them and took really cool pictures of them. I'm like, I come home, my wife's like, you didn't get any? I'm like, nah, but look at these pictures. Like, why didn't you take them? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't feel the need to, and like there's not too many doe here, and I don't think it's a conservation move, so leave it alone. Like you know what I mean? Just let it be its creature and see it in their elements. Pretty cool. So like I almost think like hopefully if I do see a giant, I'm like, hey, I could have took him. That's good enough for me. I got him on film, but I know if I do see one, I'm like, oh yeah, son of a bitch.
So per square mile in PA here, as of 2021, 14.4 hunters per square mile.
All right, people. For other states, think about that. 14. What is it? 14.4.
14.4.
So if there's a square mile of public land, and I bet public land's worse than that too, right? Because like that's got all private worked into it too. So public land's probably even higher. But say it is only 14 on public land. That means in a square mile there are going to be 14 people hunting in there with you. Like that's a rifle season. They're all out there. Like I got news for you. You're going to see. It's tough. Like deer hunting is different here. Like I've hunted Texas. I hunted on the King Ranch in Texas.
Yes.
Couldn't shoot a buck because I was there as a guest. I shot javelina and some hawks.
Yeah.
But I sat in a tree stand and watched 150, 160-inch deer that weren't even on the shoot list walk right by the stand. They hunt over feeders in Texas, totally different. Yep. But I literally watched. I bet that I was there for 4 days. I bet I saw 25 deer over 150, 160 inches. I mean, everywhere, dude. Like every single day I went out to hunt, I knew I was going to be seeing one. And I was filming them and I thought that was so cool. But like, I don't know. It feels different. You know what I mean? It feels like, it's like, then I come home and I see a 110-inch buck. I'm like, here he comes. You know what I mean? He's going right at me. It's like, it's different. I don't have a corn pile. I don't know if he's coming or not. He could do anything. But we have 14 hunters per square mile here.
And that's, so 14.4 square miles. Oh, wait. 1 square mile is, I should do that, not 14.4. 1 square mile is 640 acres. So
that's crazy when you look at it like that.
14.4 hunters on 640 acres.
Which is nuts. Put that in perspective.
That's nuts.
Jimmy Zan had a property that we would hunt that was 500 acres. And like opening day rifle, there'd be like 5 or 6 of us on it. And it felt kind of small. Like it's a huge, 500 acres is a big property for us in PA, right? But 5 or 6 guys with a rifle, it doesn't feel so big.
No,
you're like,
absolutely not.
Okay, you know what I mean? So think about 14 of them.
14 on 640 acres. That is insane. That's an insane number. So that's
one of the highest in the country. I think we might be highest or like second. It's like us in Wisconsin or Michigan or something like that.
14.4 divided by 640. Wait.
Equals
640
squared.
Divided by 14.4. So each hunter would have 44 acres to themselves.
That's crazy.
That's like,
and that's private land included. Take out private. I bet it's 21 hunters.
Just land in general. So let's just do land in PA.
Crazy.
So like, if you think about that, let's like, in retrospect, when you sit in a tree stand rifle hunting, you want to see a good distance. So most likely you're seeing maybe 500 yards.
Oh yeah, right.
Most,
yeah,
right?
For sure.
But like, still in retrospect, like if everyone's doing that, if everyone's exactly 44 yards away from each other, 400. Yeah.
440 yards.
Yeah, 440 yards. No, 44 yards. 44 yards
then
away from each other.
Think about that.
You're going to, especially in rifle, you're going to see orange everywhere.
Like we always say, we know guys that have hunted their whole lives and not killed deer in Pennsylvania, bucks in Pennsylvania. So to pass up the 7-pointer that, you know what I mean, or like the buck I shot over and down, like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, I'm like, every year it goes up a little bit. Like last year, I drew a line and was like, okay, I have in my office, I have like my 6 best Euro mounts up there. I'm like, he has to be one of these bucks or above. Or better. I won't go lower because it's just not getting it done for me anymore. So that's it. So now this buck that I shot this year will make that wall. And then next year it's like, okay, he's the new minimum. Make you go up a little bit. But even like you have those rules set. If you're in the woods and it's really exciting, or like say he's making a scrape and it's really cool and you have a cool interaction, take the freaking deer.
Or
don't
like,
worry about social media.
My dad had a great point. Like anything that if walks by you that's bigger than what you have on your wall right now, shoot it.
Yeah,
but if it's smaller and you want to let it walk, let it walk. But like to your point with the experience, like 100%. Like if you grunt one in, if you rattle one in, if you set up like going,
if you're hunting with your best friends, if it's your daughter's birthday, if it's, you know what I mean, like something cool like that happens, or like say you're back real far on public land. Like I always add 20 inches to my public land deer. I always tell Jimmy like should be like I should be allowed to, right? Like it's 124-inch deer. What's 144 to me? Like you know what I mean? Because I busted my ass for that deer. I freaking hiked in real far with the tree stand, got up, drug the son of a bitch out of there 2 miles. Like I'm like I I've like one of my favorite bucks is a 10-pointer I killed on public land, and like it's not my biggest for sure, but I like he's up there with my biggest
10.
deer.
Like a 10 is a shoulder. Like
dude, he came out on public land, and I had scouted him. It was over a soybean field on public. They grow this on public, and I was scouting in there. My buddy flew helicopters and was in the guard, and so he saw a bunch of deer in these soybean fields and was like, "Hey, dude, you should check that out." Shown, huh? And I was like, "Well," and this was like 2 months before. He's like, "I'm seeing a lot of deer in these two fields." Like, so like 2 months prior, and I never hunted the state game land before. I go in there on the edges of these soybeans, hike in, get to the soybean field, and I would sit there and watch and watch and watch. And then 2 weeks prior in Pennsylvania, you're allowed to hang your stands. And I hung my stand, and every day I went and sat in that stand before the season with just binos in my hands and watched. And I saw this buck, and I saw him come out a couple times at the same spot. Like, if he does that, I'm going to get it. The first day I didn't see anything. Oh, the first day I saw him at 70 yards, and I'm like, I gotta move. At this point in my hunting life, I had no climber. So I go to Dunham's the next morning. I buy like the shittiest climber I can buy. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. Like, take it, go home, like trying to put it together. I'm like, this is stupid. Take it back, buy sticks and a hang on. And I put my sticks on, put my hang on, and I hunt the next night right where I thought he was coming out. Didn't see the deer. And then I'm talking to Jimmy. He's like, dude, you probably pushed him out of there. Like, probably smelled you. He's like, just go back to your old stand. So the third day of the season, I went back to my old stand, and here he came out right where I was seeing him come out. And I shot that deer like 40-some yards. He went 20 yards and died in the soybean field. And that might be my favorite buck. He's definitely not the biggest, but I don't care how many deer I kill. That will always be like...
It's the first... It's that memory in your
because
head.
I put in so much work.
Yeah.
Like, they'll be able to think I'm nuts. It's 2 weeks before the season. I'm sitting out here getting eaten alive by skeeters with my binos, you know what I mean? Like, and I just like seeing him come out, I'm like, he's here, man. It's like seeing Santa Claus. So like that to me was like, I can't put like a price on that memory, and I damn sure I'm shooting that buck.
Can't put a score on that.
And you're just like, that's the thing, man. You score these deer. Like, I don't know. Scoring's cool to keep track, right?
Yeah,
but like,
of course.
It only does so much. Like, these guys will measure bear skulls and you know, like the whole measurements on turkeys, like take the beard and measure the spurs and multiply it by 2, and then do like, for what? You know what I mean? Who cares? Like, I don't. Are we gonna start weighing our ducks too when we shoot ducks? Like, I don't.
Maybe.
What's next? Like,
maybe.
That's why. Like, I always tell Jimmy, I like goose hunting, and all my buddies, I'm trying to get into waterfowl. I like goose hunting because a goose is a goose is a goose. Yep. Like, the only differentiator there is they're banded. Like, if you shoot a banded goose, that's pretty cool. But other than that, nobody cares how big it was. Nope. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? It's age. Nobody cares. Like, it was a goose. It came into the spread. You got it.
That's pretty cool when you get a banded one that's like a really old
That
goose,
was sick.
Right?
Yeah. Jimmy got a 9-year-old band this year. So I have 3, and none of them are over 4 years old. That's so cool. For him to get 9, that's sick. And like, but like even in the waterfowl, like, friendships are ruined over bands because there's 6 guys in a blind, and these birds drop into a pond, and we all get up and shoot, and we go to pick them up, and I'm like, hey, this one's got a band, and everybody immediately is like, well, I think I shot that. Well, I think that. I mean, friendships literally, like, we know guys that don't speak to each other over arguing over a piece of metal on the bird. Like, you lose sight of what you're out there for. But that's one of the things I like. It's like, okay, we had a great day goose hunting. We killed 21 birds, and then no one was like, oh, how big were they? Yeah. Oh, those were too small. Oh, it's just, hey, good hunt, man. Awesome job. Why can't we be like that with deer? Yeah. Why can't we be like, hey, man, you got your buck. You wanted to shoot it. Awesome. You got a doe. Cool, man. Great job. Like, I wish they were geese. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's trying, like, there's a select amount of people. I think mostly the people who measure their deer a lot are the private landowners that own these big properties that
keep track on them year after year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You see them grow. Like, but I think public land, I mean, you go that way, but I think it's mostly just like, okay, I put in a lot of work for this deer, so I want to get it scored. Like, which is cool. I mean, I'm not discrediting it. If you're one of those people, that is cool. Like, and good on, like, it is cool to find cool features of them, or like to chase a special buck. There's nothing wrong with it. No, but it shouldn't be the end-all, be-all. It should be a reason.
If you think a deer's 120 inches and you shoot it and you get down and you measure it, you score it that night, and it's 115 inches, don't be disappointed. No. You know what I mean? If you thought he was 120, he looks 120, cool, man. That's a nice buck.
Especially, I think when you're public land hunting, put it that way, like, you put in so much work. Like, most people don't, like, when I go out to Ohio, like, I'm e-scouting hardcore right now for where I'm going out and stuff like that. Like, I like have like different areas I'm e-scouting, And I'm like really honing in on this one because it has funky fucking features, dude. Like,
and for you to find one in those funky features that you found at home in Pennsylvania, who gives a shit what the score is?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, and if you shoot a deer and it scores less than what you thought, like they always say ground shrinkage. Like if you get up to that buck and he's maybe a little smaller than you thought, you're not going to be disappointed, dude.
No,
you did it. The odds were against you.
It's like
that's the thing.
It's like this 9-point right up here. Like that was up at Ethan's camp. I never scouted the area. I only scouted. I literally put a pin.
That's opening day rifles. Yeah.
I put a pin where I want to set my tree stand up. Went up there, hung my tree stand. Opening morning, 2-doe run on everything. He comes out 80 yards away. I drop him in a spot, and I'm like that season was a roller coaster. Like I'm getting chills talking about it. Like that season was an absolute roller coaster. I bawled my eyes out when I shot him, and I FaceTimed my wife, and I was like, I was able to like tell her that I got one down, and like I
was that your first buck?
No, that one there was my first buck.
That was your first.
That was my first true mountain buck.
That,
you know, like,
and you picked a spot. You did it all on your own. So now here's a question: has Ethan ever got one that big up there?
No.
So now
his is like the shoulder mount one.
So now it's like, oh, this guy comes up here, but no, like I'm sure he was pumped for you too.
I've been invited up since.
Yeah, that was the end of that. Like I'm glad it's a big buck because that was the last one you ever didn't take there. That's like my first buck I ever shot. Got a doe my first year in archery, and then I went out to rifle hunt, and Jimmy took me up to a property up sort of like by Penn State and his aunt's property, and we hunted that, and we went up a day early to scout, and we saw the buck I ended up shooting in a clover field, and he'd killed a bunch of bucks. So it wasn't that big of a deal for him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a buck. He's like, that's a shooter, right? I'm like, oh, heck yeah, dude. At that point, if it was legal, I wanted it.
Yeah.
And he's like, we'll put you here. Like, it's his property. He could have hunted. You sit right here. I'll go sit somewhere else. When I got that buck opening day, he was more pumped than I was. He was like, dude, this is crazy. Like, it just like the camaraderie of that. And like, Ethan was probably like, it's almost in a way, it's like he's part of that buck.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that too. Like, sometimes when Jimmy and I are like going through old pictures, like, oh, I had something to do with that. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, I don't know, a win's a win for both.
Well, like, so the year before, they didn't have the cabin, so they lost the cabin for like 2 years.
Oh, okay.
All right, so they came to my cabin and hunted there. His dad got his first buck in like years at my cabin, and I was like, the buck was stupid, put it that way. Like, I think he was blind or something, because like I would always walk by him, and like he would always just be in the same spot all the time. But yeah, I was like, that was my backup buck. That was like my backup buck in case like, okay, I didn't get anything.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go to this area.
Yeah, I know where he's living.
So, but his dad shoots it, and I'm like, okay, well, what the heck? Like that's the stupid buck. So he gets his first buck, and then the next year I get that one. So it was kind of like a trade.
Swap, yeah. And what goes around comes around, right? And like
buck swap.
Yeah,
you know,
buck
like
swap, good old buck swap. Yeah, yeah.
Like wife swap.
Like that. I think I've seen a video of buck swaps, or maybe I don't know.
But like back to the one part where you said about like, you don't want to get too focused on like one buck, right?
Right.
Like, for me with this big buck, I think that's where I'm actually like, with having a daughter, it kind of helped me a lot with that. 'Cause like,
I think so too. Like even just me we don't even have kids yet, but just getting married and like we're renovating our house, and like there's the weddings and seeing family, and like we don't even have the child yet. Like we know that's coming up eventually.
You want to announce something?
No, not yet. Like, I will make the announcement on this podcast. So when that day comes, I will do it here live. Yeah, dun, 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 breaking news. But
it's a boy.
But as we start thinking about like children, I'm like, huh. Like, you know what I mean? You're like, even this year's super limited for me, and like your career and like stuff comes up. So it's like, almost like I'd feel selfish. Like if I didn't shoot the buck that I shot opening day, that I was like, I saw him, I liked him, I wanted him. And then it's like, nah, I'm going to pass him because it's opening day. It's like, well, what am I taking time away from my loved one? You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm here for. Yeah. He's here. It's opening day. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? Be like, no, I'm not ready to be done. Like, I could go back out. You know what I mean? Nothing's like, you go back out without, when you shot your buck opening day rifle, were you devastated?
No.
You're like, I still have all rifles. No, you never thought that, right? You're like, hey, that's awesome. Like, this is why I did this.
In the cold anymore.
This is why I scouted. And if you want to sit in the cold, you damn sure can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just observe or go hunt with Ethan.
I
sat in the cabin
and drank beer.
I waited for everybody to come back with frozen freaking fingers. Like, that's the thing, too. Like, I'm a bitch when it comes to cold weather.
Dude, yeah.
So, like, if I can be done and it's 70 degrees, like, then so be it. I'm like, I've got Most of my camo is like this super lightweight camo. Like I don't even have that much cold gear because I'm not going to be in the like I haven't hunted a rifle season forever.
Yeah.
Like I'm usually going to be done, and that's just like where I'm at with it. So I like you never thought, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have taken that buck. Like, and I'm not thinking that either. Like, oh, I still have the whole season. Okay, so go out, scout. Go sit with nothing in your hand but a phone for pictures or a video camera and your binos.
Just practice.
Yeah, just observe, learn from the deer, see where they're moving, pick new spots, go scout, hunt with buddies. You know what I mean? Like, there's still so much more. Oh man, this thing's gonna vibrate. What a rookie, dude!
What a noob!
Should have went airplane mode.
What a noob.
That's probably a 160-inch buck under my tree stand right now. Tacticam, burn. Shouldn't have shot that buck. Burn. I thought about
shutting him off.
I might do that. I might.
That would not be a bad idea.
Like, first of all, they're like $15 a month on cell plans now, which is getting ridiculous. Like, you start running a bunch of cameras, like, I don't have cable, but I'm paying $67 a month in Tacticam. Like, holy shit. Yeah. But, like, I don't think I want those alerts anymore.
Yeah.
Because a doe is going to be a doe to me. I know. Like I have almost all my properties. I know almost at any given time I could get a doe. So I know where they're moving. So I don't need to see where the doe are right now. It's not going to sway me where I'm going to go hunt. And I don't think I want to waste money paying for them. But also I don't want to see. I'll run these cards at the end of the year, and I will do my research, and I will pick bucks for next year that I'm going to potentially think are going to be shooters and see if they made it through. But I don't think I need to be reminded every day of like hearing that noise right there. That's a burnt Tacticam notification, like looking down, like, oh man, if I was only, I don't know if I think I should turn them off.
Yeah, I would. I'm
going to leave the cameras running, but I'm going to turn off the cell plan and just check them at the end of the year because it's like a therapeutic cleanse.
It's a cleanse.
That part of my life's behind me for now.
It's a cleanse.
It's a deep cleanse.
So you want to go, I got a lot of responses
Let's hear 'em.
what they would do, and then we at the end can also say what we would do if, well, for you already tagged out on a buck.
What you would do.
What's going to happen. So, and all these people get a shout out on here because they responded to it. Whitetail 101, I get 7 tags, LOL. So I messaged him. I was like, "How do you get 7 tags? We're talking a buck here, like not." So he lives in North Carolina. He lives on the border of North Carolina and South Carolina. So he gets 2
both states
north, and he gets the rest.
And
like
south. Even for us, like Maryland, two buck state.
Yep.
New Jersey, in some areas, 2 buck state. I think New York is just 1.
Just 1. Yeah.
But so even around us, like a lot of the people that are hunting where we're hunting too. They also have so that's another thing. It's like reminder to everybody: Pennsylvania, we are 1 buck tag only. And that's again, we have so many hunters per square mile. They can only give so many tags. I think that they should do like a lottery system. I don't know if I think they used to do a lottery system of like getting an extra tag or like
it could be a good option, especially down
in certain counties. Area. Maybe like give a second tag in 5C. Look, you're gonna open the season 2 weeks early and run it 2 weeks late. You're obviously worried there's too many deer in that one area, which there are. Like driving to driving there that morning, I saw so many deer. So I'm like, okay, if that's where you want to manage deer more heavily, then give an extra tag for that. Or do like, hey, you shot a buck. Now take 2 doe, and then you can shoot another buck, or some like sort of like, or like Jersey, or just like hey, here's a lottery system. You have a 1 in 10 chance, but it's up. You know what I mean? You could. That would be awesome. So that's a good point for them because we do not get that option.
No.
If we want to get another buck, we are going out of state, which I will. I will do
Maryland,
that, but
Ohio,
it gets
Virginia.
Expensive, man. It's like $200 tag here, $200 tag here. We're going to North Dakota. That's a $200 tag. You start adding up these tags, and it's like, at the end of the year, you're like, okay, 104 states, and I spent $850. Even the Pennsylvania tag with archery and waterfowl, and then a duck stamp. I probably have $100 in my license altogether. Like, and so
easy.
Like that's a good problem to have. Multiple buck state.
Yes,
that's
a good problem.
Yeah, it's a good, and they could probably hunt Sundays too. Which
Chasing the Rut said, "Is this a trick question?" I think he was just thinking, okay, I'll go to another state, obviously.
Yeah, right.
AP Woodsman, Aaron. Buying a tag in another state and hitting the road.
Yeah,
great option. A lot of hitting another state. Dawn till Dusk Outdoors, hitting another state, working horse trees, habitat work.
Yeah,
which is that's a unique answer.
One. Yeah, that's a great point too. Like what does your properties need? You know what I
Right.
mean? What do you see that's missing out there? Do you need more bedding? Do you need to add some pines, windbreaks?
Maybe allowing other people to hunt your property because you already got your buck and like maybe come on hunt my doe.
I got the best answer of all. Mentor somebody.
Dude,
get somebody in the like. For me, it's my brother-in-law. He hasn't killed a deer yet. He lives in New Jersey. He buys a Pennsylvania license because he hunts with.
Get him on tires.
Oh, dude, I would love for him to shoot tires.
Yeah.
That would be like I
That'd be
even
a
told
cool
him
film,
what if I
too.
get you a doe? He's like, that'd be cool. Like
film.
He wants to do archery. He's like, that'd be cool. I'd shoot a doe. I'm like, that's a good point. Like, mentor somebody. If you have somebody that was pick a younger guy in high school who's starting out, or maybe no one in my family ever hunted. I picked up hunting on my own, and guess what? It's a bitch to learn. Like there are so many things that you. Even what to pack, what to bring, knives, the field dressing process, bring surveyor's tape to mark last blood, and toilet paper, for God's sakes. Like, no one teaches you that shit. Nope. You just go out there and you have to shit, and you're like, I got to start bringing toilet paper. Like, that's it. Like, so,
Dude wipes.
So mentor somebody. That's another, but that habitat's good.
Yep.
Keep going. What else we got?
Doe Patrol, Philly Burbs.
Sure. Philly Burbs,
Congrats on your buck as well.
Yeah, I just saw he shot a nice buck. Yep. Yeah, he's got the same predicament I got right now. But I think in Philly, I think he could kill like, I think he's like 6 or 7 doe tags you can get.
A ton of doe.
So he is on doe.
He can have 6 doe tags on him, and then like once he fills them, he can get more doe tags. Carved LLC, filling doe tags.
Yep.
Buck and Obsessed, filming family and friends and killing shit elsewhere.
There you go, Buck
Great
and
option.
Obsessed,
That's what he did last year. He shot opening day, and then he went out to Ohio and shot out there. First day out there, like absolutely insane.
He's a killer. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brown Tines. I feel like he meant to say Brow Tines.
Brow Tines was taken. Then he just decided
PA.
There usually are brown
Tines. Trying to hunt another state, Ohio, Maryland. Great. That's what I would probably be doing too if I shot opening day.
For sure.
I mean, I already have Ohio. Maybe I'd fit in Maryland.
Ohio is like definitely on the. It's a hike. You know
like
what I mean?
5.5 hours from here, all turnpike, and it's like $34, $60 to get out there. It's like.
Right, yeah, it's a decent trek. You got to get a hotel if you want to spend the weekend, and you're e-scouting. But I mean, if you're really you're itching to get out and you have the time, go. Yeah, Maryland's easier, but I think Maryland's harder to like lock up. It's a lot more private in Maryland, so it's harder to get.
Unless you go
access.
like
Western Maryland, but if you want to hit like Eastern Shore Maryland, that's a little bit trickier. But like, if you can get on some public land, man, why not? Go for a weekend, have some fun.
Absolutely, yeah. A weekend trip. Find a Sunday.
Think about this. Let's think about this. You're going to save, say it's $180. What's an Ohio tag?
180.
Okay, so $180.
Non-resident.
But if you get a buck that has $180 worth of deer meat, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'll justify it. I'm in sales. I'll justify anything. Like, I'll break it down by poundage to my wife. Like, so technically, we made money from me deer hunting. She's like, isn't that bow $2,000? Like, no, don't worry about that.
That's the past.
That's a write-off.
That's not the business. David Lai Seats. Sorry if I pronounced your pronounced your name wrong. Doe Patrol, then New York Archery, either sex tag, and then New York gun tag. So I guess
I'm surprised
New York has 2 tags, and you can shoot a buck in archery. And a buck
I think
in gun.
So too. So when I've hunted New York in the past, I've hunted Long Island. Okay. So like damn near New York City. Like I'm not hunting upstate New York when everyone thinks like hunt New York, they think going upstate.
What's the big park in the Big Apple?
Fuck.
I don't know. That'd be cool to hunt, though.
My wif's gonna be so embarrassed.
Cool to hunt,
She's from New York.
Oh man, what is that?
Not Lincoln Park.
No, that's a game. That's a.
No, you're gonna have to look it up, dude. It's gonna drive me nuts. Not West Village Park.
No, it's not West
Central
Village.
Park.
Central Park. There we go.
God damn, dude.
Go to Central Park with a bow and a saddle. And just
I know. I've seen YouTube videos of guys fishing in Central Park, like people yelling at them.
Oh yeah.
Don't fish there. Like, shut up. You got rats the size of freaking
what are you doing?
Raccoons out here, and you're worried about me catching a fish in the pond. Like, shut up. So I'm surprised you haven't gotten a waterfowl answer yet.
Not yet.
No one's saying go duck hunting because duck season does run through our archery season in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I don't have that at all.
Interesting.
On here. Cody Kelly making it back to Kentucky at some point and buying a PA tag to come hunting with us.
There you go.
And then Austin Garner, 44, filling doe tags. Dawson Oraska going to Ohio to shoot another. Sebastian.
A lot of Ohio love, man.
A lot of Ohio
big
love.
bucks in Ohio.
have some bad HD this year too.
Yeah, well,
drought. 100 days.
We have this. We haven't had. This is a bad year for rain.
Well, this week sucks.
Oh, dude, what's up with that? 5C opens up. Yeah, dude, 5C opens up and it rains, and my grass has been brown, and I'm like, dude, what is it with men and we're obsessed with grass? Like, I bought this house.
Nice grass. I like to have nice.
It's on like an acre and a half, and so I had like a rider mower, like a wheel one, right? A little John Deere 42-inch deck. Oh. I cut the grass one time, and I went back into the side to my wife. I'm like, took me like 3.5 hours. I'm like, nah, that's not cutting it. She's like, what do you want? I need a zeros. I end up getting a John Deere zero turn 54-inch deck, and ever since I bought that mower, dude, I'm a new man. I'm like, I look at the grass, and I'm like, dude, I double cut. I cut stripes in both angles. I diamond cut my front yard, and like, it's still a lot, but I'm obsessed with it, like watering it and just looking at it. And we didn't have shit for rain this year. It was my first year living in the house.
Your water bill went up.
Oh, dude, and I drained my pool and refilled that because I couldn't get those chemicals right. So I'm like, all right, drain it. I'll start over. But I did. Yeah, dude. I had like a $500 water bill.
Oh, my God.
But so we haven't had any of that rain all year, and I was thinking about how is that affecting the deer. I know it's affecting crops.
Oh yeah,
like soybeans browned up way earlier than they should have this year. Yep. So the deer stopped hitting those. So I know that's got disease effects too. Like no water is not good for these.
No.
And why is that? Because
it's the bugs that get into the water.
Yeah. Yep. So they go to they concentrate in little groups of pockets of water, and that's where the deer are drinking. And then,
like any little bit of water, like laying in this mains water system.
Yep.
I don't know how that was looking at public. All these bugs are going right in there because there's a little bit of water, and bugs go to the water like mosquitoes, all that kind of stuff. Especially if it stays still for a long period of time. And then deer start drinking it because they need water. And then
that's what happened in Maryland a couple of years ago.
Yep.
My buddy has a big property there, and they got blue tongue really bad. He said we would just drive through the property and see 150-inch deer just dead. Like
that's what happened here.
And it hit the bigger deer too. I think like the more mature deer got it and died quicker than the younger deer that could potentially fight it off. So man, what a shame.
Yeah. Sebastian from Allegheny Origins, doe hunting out of state. So like doe hunting.
If you're in Allegheny, it's real nice because you're right by Ohio,
you
right?
have Virginia as well.
Yeah,
go down there
too.
West Virginia. You have two states right there. Ohio. Depending where you are in the Alleghenies, you can shoot up to New York.
Yeah, man, that's a good spot.
That's a good spot.
Dude, Lebanon County sucks.
It does. We have Maryland.
We're trapped.
Maryland, Jersey. Rhode Island, maybe?
Yeah. Go to Rhode Island. Shoot my bow across the state, dude.
Patrick, I don't even want to try and pronounce your last name. I'm never that lucky, he said.
Oh, Patty, come on. This is the year, baby.
This is the year it changes. Howie Miller, moving cams around and hunting doe/bear. Great option.
Yep,
that goes back to your scouting thing.
Yep.
Redheaded cameraman shooting one more buck because Georgia said I can get two.
Damn it, Georgia.
Damn. Well, thank you all you guys for responding.
Yeah, that's awesome. The interaction is cool.
Love
man.
that.
And those are some great points. Conservation's a good point. I can't believe you have no waterfowlers. You know, it's weird because like we're pretty entrenched. Drawback's pretty heavy into both, and like totally different hunts, right?
Oh yeah. Big time.
Like solace and peaceful and calming is deer hunting, and then rowdy and fun and like joking and busting on each other is waterfowl, right? So it's two totally different styles. It's nice that you can bounce back and forth between the two, like a totally different experience, but like different camaraderies, and it's just two totally different things that are both fun in their own rights. And what I've noticed is not a lot of guys do both, and I think that's maybe just it's either a financial thing, right, or a time thing, right? Because like duck opens up in a couple weeks in October for us here in Pennsylvania. So most guys are deer hunting, right? And then it's like, okay, well, I have say you bought a $2,000 bow and $1,000 camo outfit, and you know what I mean,
saddle setup
and a saddle and the broadheads and the arrows and so you got a lot of money in these things, and then you go waterfowl hunting and you're like, well, I need a Benelli. Well, start looking at that. Oh, that's $2,800. Okay, I'll take one of those. And it's like, well, you need a blind, and it's like, okay, there's 400 more. Like, and then you need 200 full body decoys, and they're $180 for 6. And you're like,
Jesus.
oh, so that guy had like $10,000 sitting in that field. It's like, yeah. And then you take somebody out for the first time, they shoot the decoy, and you're like, well, there goes $200, dude. What do you?
My God.
So I think it's either financial side of things, because I do think the barrier to entry for waterfowl is a lot more. Like you need so much gear to get started, and it's tricky. You need a mentor, someone to show you the ropes.
You need also private access.
100%, yeah, which is a lot easier than deer because no one seems to give a shit about geese on their land. Ducks are harder, but no one cares about the geese. So farmers are pretty, like, I think that's a good in for deer hunting. Like, can I waterfowl hunt your property? You're respectful. You take care of the property. You go back next year and it's like, hey, do you let anyone deer hunt? Even if they didn't, they'd be like, yeah, but you've been great. You know what I mean? That might be a good segue. But I'm surprised. I thought at least when you posted that today, so too, I was going to be like, oh, get on the ducks, or you know what I mean? Something like that. So I'm surprised that's not, like, even if I hadn't shot my buck, when duck season came in here for that week or 2 weeks, whatever it is, I was still going to go duck hunting a couple times. Like, I still, like, I don't know. It's fun to do. But you're either one or the other. I don't see it. Yeah. Although there's some guys I follow on Instagram that are pretty into both. That are into
both, yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I think if you have the time.
Yeah, and right, do it, right. Like, and, like, for me, this works out. Like, I'll obviously do both this year. But, yeah, if you have the time to do both and you have some buddies that like to do both, I'd skip one night of deer hunting to go duck hunt a pond, farm pond somewhere, and vice versa. I mean, I don't think... But it is funny, like, a lot of guys we waterfowl hunt with are like, this is what I do. Like, this is my hunt. Like, how you are for deer, this is my season. Like, this is my Super Bowl. And, like, and waterfowl is cool because I like waterfowl seasons better because, like, okay, you have October, and then you have December, and then you have snow goose season, and so it's kind of broken up. You get a couple months of the year to be out. Like, for deer season, dude, when you think about it, like, so we have these 2 weddings to go to. We're going to Nodak. Usually I have a trade show this month for work that I'm not doing this year. But when you break it down, you're like, oh, okay, so I can hunt 2 weekends. Like I have 2 or 3 maybe weekends. It's like, whoa. And then like it's Pennsylvania, so you don't have 3 weekends. You have 3 Saturdays. And you're like, well, if I don't see it there, then it's done. You know what I mean? Like wait 12 more months and get so. I mean, your time is limited, man. Like you can't do. Then like avid fishermen, like. Man, you get. Have you ever had any like serious fishermen on this?
We had a few, but then they were also never big into hunting.
Right, that's their thing. It's like Jimmy's brother's like huge fisherman. Doesn't have an interest in hunting. Yeah, it's like, well, how do you have time to do all? You know what I mean?
You gotta have time unless you had like literally no family, nothing. You were a bachelor,
single bachelor living your
single little.
And that's not the life for me. But
no, married. Yeah. Ladies, back off.
Yeah, step back.
All 2% of you.
Yeah. The 3 women watching this, we're both married.
Yeah. So how I would do it, obviously, is I would do exactly what a lot of people doe patrol, because I have 2G, 5C, no, 4.
Where's 2G?
2G is like Clinton, Potter County.
Oh, okay. Area, like yeah. I have a tag, That's up there. Yep. That's the first year I've ever applied for that doe tag too, and I'm just like,
it's the first one you got to apply for.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Like they go right away. It's that, and then I picked up 4C second because 4C goes pretty quick too. That's like a lot of public land for us here, Lebanon County, and then I did 5B, which was still open. I was like, well, that's my 3rd round. I don't think I'll get that one, and then I got 5C because it was you could still get 5C, by the way.
Okay,
like it's still open. Yeah,
I got 2G, 5B, 4D, 2 4Ds.
2 4Ds.
Yeah. My parents have a cabin up there now.
You're going to have to get a chest freezer.
Yeah, dude. Well, I'm going to donate one.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to 100%.
It's a cool program, man. Yeah.
I have 5 doe tags.
Jesus.
So, like,
I should have brought mine with. We should start wearing them around our neck. Little bling.
Mine are back there.
Yeah. But like, just let them roll out.
But like, yeah, like if I get a buck and a doe,
that's
like
good
that
for you.
3rd one's going to be donated. And then anything after that is just bonus.
I like giving it away too. Like
if someone doesn't like, say Ethan doesn't get one,
right?
Chances are high.
Right,
doesn't get one. Right.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Love you, Ethan.
Astronomical, one would say. No, I've seen the doe Ethan kills. He's probably still eating that doe from the.
Actually, no, he's almost out.
That doe was huge.
Well,
dude.
last year he didn't shoot one.
Well, the year before he shot that, was that huge one?
Yeah, that was a 10-year-old doe.
Dude, there's a picture of him standing next to that doe. I'm like,
the doe looked like it could eat him.
My God.
The doe looked like it could eat him.
He'd eat that thing for 5 years, man. Yeah. That thing was
especially because his wife doesn't eat it.
Oh,
so like,
yeah. It's like
it's just him eating it.
All right, so he's good. But yeah, you could give him some.
Yep.
I like
my dad, because I doubt, like, my dad
does he still hunt?
Oh, yeah. My dad missed, like, 3 deer last year.
So you're gonna have to step up.
I have to step up
It's
and feed
son,
him
you know,
and my mom now. So it's
take care of the parents.
Gotta rep them. Gotta put the family on my back.
Also, guys, so I have a couple different private spots, and like some of them I'll barely hunt. But like no matter what, I'd like to give them. No matter where I take that deer, I'd like to give them all something, right? So. Like I'm not a big deer jerky guy anymore. I was really, but now I'm like kind of it's like okay, it's all right.
I'll do little batches.
Yeah, like here. So give everybody a little bit of that and like the ground beef, and then just say like this is what I like to do with it: meatballs, chili, tacos. Like could once you find a recipe. Like I've eaten more deer, and Jimmy, we've eaten more deer this year than ever before. Like I'm completely out of deer. I had 2 pounds left. I ate them Tuesday night. My wife and I made it, and that's it. Like now, I'll get my deer that I just shot back next week. So I splurged and finished off my last year's deer. But we eat it. We put it in a Crunch Wrap, like Crunch Wrap Supreme.
God.
Dude, I got it. We should Jimmy and I should do a YouTube video of that.
Of how to make a Crunch Wrap Supreme.
It's just like Taco Bell, dude, but it's healthier. You know what I mean? It's your deer meat.
Taco Bell.
It's so you literally just cook your ground beef and you wrap it. The hardest part is
a great video. You
cooking.
You somehow get a Taco Bell uniform.
Oh,
and you go to your shop and have like a makeshift, a makeshift.
Someone come through the line and I'm cooking back there. I'm like, white or brown rice?
Yes,
exactly. Brown. We only have white. Here you are. The trickiest part is the fold.
Yeah,
which my wife is incredible at. I stuff mine up too much with too much shit, and then it ends up being like a ball.
Yeah.
But you put it all in there, man. You put your tomato, your lettuce, your cheeses. Put a little chipotle sauce in there.
What's your crunch?
You take hard shell tacos and you just crunch them up and flutter that in there.
You're gonna do like Fritos or something like that.
You could do Fritos or Doritos. Yeah, you could do that. It's a good idea. You could do that, and then you wrap it all up and you put it on a skillet or a pan for like 2 minutes. Brown it, flip it over. 2 minutes. You bite into that sucker, dude. And like my wife's from Long Island, like wasn't ever a big deer eater. Yeah. We that's our Tuesday night staple. We eat that. We went through more deer meat this year. Like for the first time ever, I'm like, I need 2 deer for myself, or like 1.5 for me, and then like I'll give half to people's land I hunt. But I like that portion of it. Like, I don't know what that is in our DNA where like
we want to give.
I went out and I harvested this meat, and like you don't have to prepare. I got it taken care of. It's wrapped individually. This is for you. Like I don't know. I love that. Like it's the coolest thing to me. It's like. And like, especially when people ask, like Rogan on his podcast, he's always like, take some elk home with you. Like he loves giving elk meat away, right? It's like, yeah, I went out, I provided, like, it's got to be like back to like our Indian days or something where like you bring like the hunters and gatherers, you bring home, like it gives you like a weird satisfaction that I never really thought about until I started giving away. I'm like, that's cool. And then like they text you, it's like, my favorite is like you give deer meat to somebody and then they text you a picture of what they made with it. It's like, we just made chili with the deer, man. Thanks so much. Like, I'm so glad that you were able to get one on my property. I'm like, that's awesome, man. Like, how much pounds do you need next year? I'll do, you know what I mean? Like, I even like, so you were saying that you process your own deer fully. I'll debone my deer, but I will have a butcher grind it up and do it to, I'll pay for that. Like, I'll gladly pay. I don't care what it costs to be able to give it away. Is like the coolest thing ever. So like, you let me hunt your property. I'm going to give you this to you prepared, ready to go. I'll tell you how to cook it. You send me a picture of you cooking it, and I'm like, dude, that's amazing. Yep. So will you fill all your deer tags if you have the opportunity to? All your doe tags?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I will. Because, I mean, a good amount of that will be donated. Like, if I get all 5.
Yeah, donate 2.
If I get 5 doe and 1 buck.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm donating
60
at least.
Yeah.
I'm donating at least 2. Like, because I've always thought about this before we had the podcast. I've always thought, like, okay, like, you only get so many days out in the woods,
right?
Through your life, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You don't know,
man, that's the depressing thing about.
You don't know if like you're not going to get one next year.
Yeah.
So like
you're
not
guaranteed anything.
Next year.
Yeah.
You got to make.
Plus,
it through
there's
next
practice in it, and like I would say,
with archery,
it's huge in archery. Like you could be the best shot in the world. Like you shoot 3D tournaments, cool, good on you. I think that's cool. We dabble in it too. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. Don't get me wrong. Like tack shoots, sick, awesome day, but. It doesn't mean shit when it comes to the woods. Yeah. You got to know when to stand up, when to pull that bow back. You're holding it now for a minute. You're waiting to take that shot. It's a lot harder to shoot when there's no rings on the deer and you're trying to pick the spot. Like even taking the deer and field dressing and seeing what you hit and how far, tracking blood, it's all practice, right? Yep. So you got to take some dough to just keep getting, staying sharp and getting that practice, and you learn a ton doing that.
100%.
Plus, there's the management side, right?
Yes.
Like there's a property that I hunt in like Bethel, and it's on a farm, and these farms crush the crops. I mean, these deer, they crush this farmer's crops. And you look around and you might see 20 doe that night. You won't see a buck. It's like, well, these numbers are, that's a huge debate of like some guys have hunting properties and don't kill any doe, but like the most successful guys, they take doe. You have to manage the population. If we're all just hunting the buck, you know what I mean? It's not going to end up. Yeah. So there's the management side of it too. That's awesome with taking a bunch of doe. You can give that meat away. You could donate it for Share the Harvest program.
Harvest,
which is awesome. Like that's so cool. I don't know if they still do it. Because last year they didn't send me one. Have you donated one yet?
I have not donated one yet.
So they used to, and I don't know if they do or not, but I'm going to message our buddy there and say, if you're not doing that, I'll donate money and make sure you send these stickers out. Because they used to send you a thing in the mail that said, thank you for your donation. Your deer fed 200. We made 200 meals of your deer. Here's a Hunters Share the Harvest sticker. It's like a badge of honor to me. I think I have like 4 or 5 of them. And I don't know if I got one last year. I donated deer last year. I don't know if they sent that out, but that was the coolest thing. Like you get it in the mail and it's like, cool, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was doing something I love. It was managing the property and I was having fun doing it, and you can still help. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing to you. So that's cool. You'll have to donate a few. Oh yeah, it's a lot of dragging, brother. You better get in the gym working legs, lower back.
Gotta go down to my basement and hit the gym, right?
Or call me, and I'll be out there with you. Like, do you ever drag with a sled or?
Yeah, I have a sled.
Okay.
If I get all,
it's not good.
If I get all 5 this year, well, if I get a buck and a doe, if I get the third one that I'm donating, I'm carrying it on my shoulders.
I've done it. I've Cam Hained it. Yep. I've done it. I've done it twice. One year was to show off. Jimmy had shot a buck on public land, and we got him, field dressed him, and got him on the shoulders, and it wasn't as bad. And I carried that out. I'll never forget. There's a little kid. It wasn't a huge buck either, and there was a little kid walking in,
that's right,
and he was like, "Whoa!" And I was carrying Jimmy's buck, and Jimmy was like, "Snow, you want to shoot?" Like he was like so pissed at himself, but this little kid thought it was like the coolest thing I ever had. This deer on my shoulders. If you're doing it, please wear orange, you know what I mean? Or be archery season to make sure people know you're coming out because, there are 1,400 hunters per square mile, so make sure you're safe about it. And then I had done it on public land 2 years ago. I shot a nice buck like 2 miles back, and that was a deer. I had to bring a dog in. Deer went 100 yards, shot him with a rage right through the wheelhouse. I mean, it looked right behind the short, looked perfect.
Yeah.
Watched the video back 100 times, looked perfect. We never found a drop of blood. From I don't know if we just couldn't get on it from where I hit him, but we never got on blood, never found a drop of blood. We saw where he had run because it was disturbed, and it was so thick, and it went down a ravine, and I just backed out right away and called the dog to be safe, and we ended up becoming really good friends with Vicky, who's got a dog captain who's amazing. Like, if you haven't watched those dogs work, Vicky's dog's name's Captain, and he is insane. Like, he gets his nose down, and when I had my buck stolen on public land last year, he found the gut pile. Like, the deer wasn't even there anymore. He took us right down where the deer had run, where I said, I'm like, I think he went right down here and went between these 2 trees. The dog smells the point of contact where the arrow is, goes right down there, went right to a gut pile. For my buck 2 years ago, he went right to that buck, found that buck. He was in the thickest dude and he only went 100 yards. Like, it plugged him up, and he never bled. And so, I mean, if you have a dog and you're scared if you didn't make a good shot, like drone deer recovery, have you followed that guy on Instagram?
Yeah.
Dude.
Not a fan.
Really?
Not a fan.
Why?
That's in a whole other podcast, brother.
Dude, why not? Because
I feel like
cheating. Like, you feel like cheating?
I feel like people.
I feel like that.
I feel like people will use the drones to their advantage.
Negative.
Like, and also the money wise thing. Like, he's charging so much money to do that, when really some of these dog people just take donations or don't even charge you anything.
When Vicky came to track on state game land, she wasn't allowed to take any money because it was state game land. So she's like, if you want to do anything, make a donation to United Blood Trackers. That would go a huge way for us. Like, we do this because we love this and we love to work our dogs. But the drone deer recovery, I think it's expensive.
It is very expensive.
I do like the option to do it because
I think it's last resort.
Yeah, I mean, like if it's a special buck and like the last thing I want to do is shoot a buck, it die, me not recover it, then go shoot another buck. And knowing it's out there, it's like, so I like it in that aspect. I don't know. I am torn too.
So my thought is,
it's cool as hell though. How he does it.
Before we end it with where they can follow you at and all that kind of stuff, like my thought is, if you want to allow drones, it has to be a government agency. It has to be someone through the Pennsylvania Department the PA Game Commission. Yeah, has to be through the Game Commission. It has to be a separate entity. Yep. Because we can't have the Game Commission officers doing it.
Hot take. I like it though.
I think that's the best way because then, private you can charge, public, just like dogs, you can't.
Well,
charge.
Are you screwing up the deer for other people's hunts on public? And what are you doing to like that? That's like the guy had shot that buck on a Saturday, so we went in on a Sunday, and I didn't feel so bad about doing it. But if I'm hunting the next day and you bring a dog through, and they got like a long leash on them, they had to stay on a leash and like a bell on them, like. Not going to be happy. Nope. Not going to be happy. You didn't shoot your deer right or whatever had happened, and now you're bringing the dog through my stand. Like, you know what I mean? So it's we'll have to have a debate on it because
that's a whole nother podcast.
We could go deep into like the ethics behind it. Is it more ethical to find the deer? But then you got guys cheating, and then we could get into cell cams, and if that's like, I'm personally, I use cell cams. I do. I have the resource, so I do it. Mm-hmm. Part of me hates it because like nothing's better than being surprised and seeing a deer that you've no 100%. Idea lives in there. And you're like, well, I think we rely on cell cams way too much. I have an expensive cell cam. I won't say the brand, and a $30 Tasco camera, and I put them on the same tree this year. And I pulled that card the other day, right before season, and the Tasco had about 40 more pictures than that cell cam sent me. I won't say the brand, but it's expensive, and it's expensive to run it, and it didn't send me the pictures. Yep. But my $30 Walmart Tasco camera sent me, I pulled the card and checked it, and it had all the pictures. So I think we rely too much on it. But
love Tascos, man.
We'll have to get into a debate on the ethics of...
Yes, we can.
Because then there's a whole, like, should we be able to bait in PA? Should we... They could get down...
Oh, yeah. We can do the whole...
We'll have to go through...
podcast with that one.
You ever listen to Meat Eater? Mm-hmm. They do... Chester is the one guy's name, and they do like ethics with Chester or something like that. They like ask him like is this right, or I'm fishing here and this guy rolled into my spot, like who's right, who's wrong. We'll have to do like an ethics check on where we stand because we're probably similar on a lot, but the drone I don't know. I don't even know if where I am yet. It's so new.
It is very
and new. I know there could be some really bad intentions with some people with it. Like there could be a lot of poaching that comes from that too, and like scouting neighbors' properties, and there's some. So we'll get into that another day for sure.
Brother, where can people follow you and Drawback Outdoors at, or if they just want to follow Drawback Outdoors?
Yeah, don't follow my Instagram; it's boring. But we're at Drawback Outdoors on Instagram and YouTube. We are Drawback Outdoors. Go watch our last YouTube video. It's up.
2024 we're actually PA opener.
Yeah, 2024 PA opening day archery success. It's Drawback 2_outdoors on YouTube. You'll find us. There's another Drawback that we noticed, but we're come up first because we have more subs. So yeah, go check it out. We're getting a lot of momentum on YouTube. We've got some crazy stuff coming up this year on YouTube. 14-day trip to North Dakota, and Jimmy's gonna take care of a big buck in upstate. So
yeah, October 7th is when your guys' drops.
So October 7th that'll drop.
No, wait, that can't be right. That's not right.
Yeah,
I need to change the date on that
Change
thing.
the premieres, dude. When's this dropping?
This is dropping. I'm decided to drop this as a separate episode on opening day.
You opening day people, if you get deer, send them to Cody. Send them to Drawback Outdoors on Instagram. We want to see them. Good luck out there. Be safe. If you see a buck you're happy with, don't.
What's the saying?
A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
That's right.
Shoot what makes you happy.
Good luck out there. Enjoy the process. See ya.